Hey, what up, everybody? How you doing this morning? Hopefully great. Having a fantastic day. Great start to the week. It's Monday. Let's get it. This is kind of just winging in this video this time. One of the things that I had talked about with a friend of mine was forgiveness, and it was a big part of something that I've been missing in my life. The reason I bring this up is I've been pretty hypercritical in some ways, and a lot of it's deserved, to my father, and I recently, without disclosing too much information, father had a lot of incidents and a lot of problems. Now he's been in and out of my life for my entire life, from 12 on, really, mostly out. Dad had a bad go at life for a little while here recently. Past year's been really struggling with a lot of things, and I basically had him out of my life for a couple very good reasons. And the more I think about it, most people would agree with the reasons why I disallowed him in my life. At this point, it's not about that. There were close calls. There were some very close calls, and I'd rather have him in it than not in it. So there's expectations that people have of one another, and I don't think that they're necessarily unfair, but they certainly are can be. We are who we are, and we tend to forget that we're not perfect ourselves, and we make a lot of mistakes. You're not just you. You're the traumas you carry. You're the disappointments. There's all these good things that we can talk about, and a lot of the time, especially on social media, we always highlight those things. You always hear the Instagram life. I'm living my best life, and oftentimes those people that do that are either narcissists or they're just putting on a front, for how happy they are, and they post the best moments of their lives, and oftentimes they're very disappointed in life. And through social media, a lot of the time, we like to reflect on other people's lives and say, well, why can't my life be like that? Well, you're only posting the good parts. You have to realize that that's not a strong correlation with how they're actually living the day to day. I can post a couple happy pictures of an evening I had, but not disregard the patients that I had that died, or which is hard. Or the disappointments, the arguments, and the hard, rough day that you had either at work or at home, arguments with family or loved ones. Maybe you got in a car accident earlier, destroyed your car. There's a lot of other things that go into the details of that, or being behind on bills and trying to struggle to pay for food. And then you post like a really cool picture and you're like, hey, life is good. You put on the best parts of it. And those don't correlate to actuality a lot of the time. It's an immediate dopamine rush when people validate you. But back on topic here, I wanted to highlight that for a very specific reason, because we are the result of the good and the bad in our lives. Some people have more bad than good, or some people just fail to realize the good that they are or have, or won't acknowledge the bad that they have in themselves. And I find that that's more often the case, that we, especially when we go to judgments of people, we don't reflect on our own faults and failures, or we dismiss them, bring them up and dismiss them while pointing out somebody else's, and that's a problem that we have, because by the same metric we could be judged ourselves. My father I think had a hard life. I don't know all of it, and I'm not going to pretend to, but I've heard some things. It was not easy by any metric, so some of the issues that we run into when it comes to that is we make quick judgments. You have to wonder. At least I do. I wonder now, in reflection on my own life and trying to be humble about it, and truly honest and open with myself about so many different things. Why did I turn out the way that I did? Why did I go the path that I did? And why was I so angry for so long? Why was I so hurt for so long? And I don't think I had the tools. I don't think that I had the tools to heal or to forgive or to make my life better. Now, even by certain standards, I could say that my life had improved significantly. To observe that would be one thing, and then to live it is an entirely different animal. I, got a great job, and had family, and things were pretty good in some ways and terrible in others. But at times I chose to focus on the negative. Now, it was a result of taking two to tango in that way, and a lot of the time I put it on myself. Now with my dad, I think just talking to him and just listening to the stories, I don't think he ever got the tools. I don't think he ever really got the help that he needed in his life to take care of himself, to reflect on himself. Sometimes the pains are so strong that you just have to push them down away as far as humanly possible. Meanwhile, you're still living those traumas, but you're not, in those experiences and that anguish and that pain, and it's always there, bubbling at the surface. But you push those things that cause that discomfort, or any discomfort, further and further away, and attempt to negate it, but pretending those things don't exist. Now, a lot of the time we'll point the finger at somebody else. It's their fault, it's your fault, it's her fault, his fault. And some of it might be true, but you can't change somebody else. The only thing you can change is yourself. You can't change an action, but you can change the reaction. If somebody punches you in the face, I love using these metaphors about getting punched in the face for some reason. How do you react? Well, did it connect? Did you dodge it? Did you block it? Did you throw the person? Did you punch him back? Did you run away? Did you fall and hit the ground? But you get to choose an action. A reaction is usually automatic. It's a movie called, I think it was The Perfect Weapon. It's about a Kempo movie in the 90s and whatnot. And the guy, the main character's teacher, was teaching him with the tiger and the drag and the tiger. And, the master throws a punch and the tiger, the student grabbed and blocked it. And then he says, the dragon. And he throws a punch, and the guy responded and blocked it. But then he said, the dragon, and he taps the guy on the belly with his other hand, says, always has another option. He acts. He doesn't react. A reaction is usually an emotional response, or it's a trained response. It's actually good when it becomes a trained response to a certain extent, especially when we're healthy. But action takes active participation in the thought process, and a lot of us can't think fast enough, or we're too quick to respond or react rather than to reflect and make a quick, good, and positive judgment. And in our judgments of others, we can look at somebody else's life and actually say, you're disappointed in them, you're angry with them. Oh, they really screwed up their life. Oh, they really screwed up this time. Oh, well, we discount a lot of things. It's easy to judge. It's hard to be judged. What do you feel about that? How do you feel about that? What makes you actually start acting instead of reacting? Have you ever done that? And I'm sure you have to a certain degree. At least you thought you did. But let me really get honest with yourself. Really get into the nitty gritty and really consider, like, hey, did I act or did I react? I do this about fatherless young men because I grew up most of my life without my father, and I know others in my my life and in my relationships that didn't have their fathers present, or weren't very good role models, to say the least, or various other things. So this is why I focus on this, is because I don't want people to have to go through the hard lessons. Brotherhood is huge. We when we don't have our fathers, we look to groups. We look to other troubled youths to bond with, because usually we're kind of excised from the normalcy group and put into this, other category of other people that are somewhat like-minded, or that are rebellious, similar to the way we are, and we form a brotherhood with them, and then form bad habits and so on and so forth. Not that good groups of friends can't have bad habits too. Just putting that out there. But brotherhood is imperative for men, and I wonder how many of us have that. A group of friends, like-minded men, or men that you can look up to at least, that would not judge you, that would not, they would hold you accountable and not judge you, be in a safe space for that. I don't think that there's a good safe space for men and women. To a certain degree, that is true, but men need men. Men desperately need men. For that. And the first form of brotherhood, if you will, of no judgment, but with accountability, is as a father. And you learn from that. That safe space should be your father in the first place. That a man should have his safe space. And when he isn't there, he usually rebels. I did. And in doing that, it paralyzed growth. Right? It paralyzed my ability to trust friends and people with intimate feelings, for fear of repercussions. Oh, you're a pussy, you're a fag, you're a blah. And we're harsh on each other a lot of the time, and it's fun to do that. When you have a good brotherhood of people you trust, we're going to bash each other. It's part of the process. It's actually fun, and you get to participate in that, but you don't learn that without a father unless you get into that brotherhood that does that. But a lot of the time, when that happens, when you get your balls busted, it can destroy your confidence, your self-confidence, and your opinion of yourself, and the way you outlook, or the way that you share or communicate. You don't feel safe if you hold on to those things. And I'm trying to create a space for that for men, where we can actually talk and communicate. And one of the best things about the military was the brotherhood. I liked the training and hated the training. I loved and hated war. I loved and hated the military, but I always loved the brotherhood. I loved the brotherhood that it is. And any of you that hear this and that we're military, and my brothers, know this. When you leave, you kind of lack it. You maintain relationships, and this, so social media has kind of helped us to maintain some of those relationships, even after years of no contact. It's interesting, and it's good, but on a daily basis, just being there, waking up with them. A brotherhood is someone you die with. They die for you, but they die with you. You know what I mean? They live with and for you and one another, and they die for and with one another. We say ride or dies. Your ride or dies and such. That's true. That's what a brotherhood is. And you're different. You can be different, but at the end of the day, you know that you're safe with that person. You trust them with your life, and they can trust you with theirs. Making those stands together, to the lightest light and the darkest dark. And it's rare that you find that outside of the military. You might have a few, but outside of that, we used to have these, you get the Masons, used to have like the Legion and VFW, places like that, where you still maintain some of that camaraderie. And that's important, so the vets remember that. But those of you who are not veterans, and you don't have that kind of brotherhood, if you've never experienced it, it's imperative that you have it. So I'm creating that, or attempting to. Now, fuck that. I'm creating it. A place for that brotherhood to be shared. You will be held accountable. You'll be told, hey, dude, pick it up. Get your shit together. But it doesn't mean that, we don't care. It doesn't mean that we won't be there and we won't help one another out. It's important to remember that. And good advice is good as gold. And the rarest jewels and the rarest pearls, it's more valuable than those things. So I encourage that. I highly, highly encourage that if you're interested in this, that we participate. Comment below, talk, share. You can DM me on here if you need to. I'm going to create a group I'm not tech savvy, so a lot of this is new to me, and I'm trying to figure it out as I go, and maintain some consistency. Life happens, so there's going to be periods of time where, I don't get on here as much. Life happens. I work full time, and I'm raising a family and doing the best I can. But I fully intend on being here and posting and commenting and trying to be present in these conversations with you all. Forgiveness is important for you. And I got off into the weeds a little bit, and I'm sorry about that. I'm ADHD, like a mofo. Forgiveness isn't about the other person necessarily. A lot of the time it's for you. And you have to be merciful in those instances. Now, the forgetting part is just not the memory being wiped clean. It's the picking up and putting it in the drawer. You have to pick up some things, and you have to put it in the drawer that's in the back of the closet, and you close that up, and you don't open it. You try not to open it. Go going back into that drawer and opening up and saying, hey, I remember when you... Oh, let it go. Let it go, because it's going to weigh on you. And the more weight you have on your back that you're carrying, the less you're able to do outside of that. You try to lessen those burdens. Forgive those people, because it's just as much for you as it is for them. And it's not a fight. It's not a fight. You can't forgive with fight. I had to learn that. I don't know if that makes any sense to some of you, but the forgiveness part is the opposite, because I used to clench my fist and hold on to it, and I had to fight to let go, and that's the opposite. It's just let it go. I presented most of my life with a fight mentality, or and there wasn't a lot of flight in me, or my retreat was internal. Like, I would shut up, shut down, and not talk. And that was my flight. But my fight was ever present. Put down the sword and shield once in a while. Just put it down. You don't need to fight it. It's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to do when that's how you've shaped your entire life. And that's how you view your entire life. It's a fight. It's a fight. It's a fight. It's not. It's important to remember that it's not. And it's okay to let go and to not fight. Don't fight everything. Don't fight everything, because you'll be so conflicted that you'll never get better at anything else. It's like overworking your muscles. When you're constantly in battle mode, you get battle fatigue. Ask some of the brothers that I talked to about that. We get it. All right. Any thoughts or questions, please ask, and we'll discuss. Love you guys. Have a great day. Thanks for sharing. Bye.